Hey plant people, thank you so much for stopping by. Today we're going to be doing some plant chores because I feel like I've got a lot of stuff to do before. I feel like I try to get it done before like the weather starts getting colder. Although I always do repotting and stuff when it's cold anyways, but I do feel like maybe it's a little bit better to do it like before it starts getting too cold. And definitely, even though it's still hot right now, like I can tell that fall is upon us, and that is so exciting. Most of us really love fall. We have one tree in our yard that always turns, like the leaves turn different colors before any of the other trees, and it's already going red, which is very exciting. So we got a lot to do today. I've got a bunch of like propagations that I have just sitting around that I need to consolidate because I feel like I'm going crazy. When I have propagations everywhere, it just stresses me out so much. So I'm going to consolidate as many of those as I can. And then I have got a couple of other things that I want to consolidate and repot. And I need to put my philodendron ring of fire on a moss pole. And I had a great idea to take the moss pole that I had my variegated philodendron domesticum on, and I just like chopped the top of it off because I thought that I didn't have any more moss poles. And then I found more moss poles in my freaking garage. So that was totally unnecessary, but I'm still going to use that part because it already has moss in it. So that'll make things a little bit easier. And I think it does need an upsize too because it's finally started growing again. And I'm fairly certain that I saw roots coming out of the bottom of the pot. So it is time to do that. I think I'm actually going to start with the philodendron ring of fire because that is like high on my priority list. This is the one that I always talk about being like this crazy mutant because it has all this like weird split growth point whatever nonsense going on down here, but it's finally started putting out like decent leaves again with pretty good variegation on them. Like that one looks so good. Its new one looks even better, so that is exciting. Oh, she doesn't have roots coming out of the bottom. I swear I saw roots come out of the bottom of this. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy, who knows. But I want to put that on a moss pole. And while the philodendron ring of fire has more of like kind of like that bird's nest vibe where it kind of is self-heading, or supposedly self-heading, I guess, from the middle, and the leaves kind of come outwards instead of it climbing. She's climbing a little bit. And as I've mentioned before, I saw Sprouts of Joy put her philodendron ring of fire on a moss pole, and that is just the best idea that I've ever heard of, and it looks so good. So I'm definitely going to copy her and do that. I've already put a couple of my other kind of like with that same growth pattern, like the self-heading type philodendrons on moss poles, like my variegated radiatum, which is up here, and who else? I don't know. I have someone else on one too, but we're not going to talk about that today. But we are sitting in the floor over here because it is in front of my French doors that go out to my backyard, and this weather, y'all, oh my god, it is so beautiful. I just love sitting right here so I can look out the window and like see all the trees and how like bright and blue the sky. Like my soul is just like so happy right now because of this weather change. And also I can see the hummingbirds that are going nuts over here. I guess they finally realized that I have a hummingbird feeder hanging from this light kind of like near these doors on my patio because they are going crazy now. It's like they had no idea that was over there or something. Guess they just never noticed. But anyways, I think this one may need to be upsized. It's been in this same pot for a really long time, like prior to when it actually started growing. So I have these 1 gallon pots, if I can get this separated. And I plan on putting her in one of these unless her roots are just like really small, in which case I will leave her in the pot that she is in. Oh my god, I cannot get these parts. It just broke the pot, but whatever. It is okay. This one is fine. So, oh yeah. Today for my potting mat, I have a Tupperware lid. Will she ever get a potting mat? Probably not. Probably not. Okay, so I guess step 1 is going to be to check these roots out. Did I repot this? Maybe I repot this not too long ago. I honestly, like, I just can't remember. When you have so many plants, it is, like, impossible to remember. And, yeah, she's got a lot of roots. You probably cannot see super well, but I'm trying not to get dirt totally everywhere, even though I know that is probably impossible. I think they look okay. Some of them are kind of mushy. I don't know what soil this is, so this could have had some of that bad soil in it. Who knows? But we will be giving her some fresh soil in her new home, which will be this 1 gallon pot. And as I said, I want to put a moss pult in there. So I have this that I chopped off the top of my philodendron domesticum. There's a little tiny, like, baby earthworm in here. I don't know how that happened. That's so funny. Went ahead and put just a little bit of soil in the bottom because I want this pole to be up a little bit more than it being all the way, because these 1 gallon pots are kind of like tall. So I've got that elevated just a little bit. Let me see which way. Yeah, I feel like I definitely need to put her this way because her leaves are kind of already facing that direction. So we are gonna go with that. Oh yeah, this can be perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I have got her in this pot and I just fastened her with a little bit of like the plant Velcro tape to this pole so she will start to root in there. And she does have another leaf coming out right now, so hopefully this isn't going to affect that leaf. Hopefully not. Also, I am putting my systemic granules in everything, which is systemic pesticide. So just assume that, I'm not going to show it for every single one of these, but just assume that I'm putting those in there because we do not want anyone to have pests. And I think this is already looking really good on this moss pole. I feel like fortunately her leaves were already kind of all facing one direction, which is going to make it easier. But she does have some room on here for this other growth point. If this decides to kind of take off and start putting leaves out, that's fine. And she has a baby down here too, if you can, I don't know if you can see that. She's got a little tiny baby down in there that is growing as well. And its variegation doesn't look like terrible. So we'll see. Maybe eventually I'll separate those, but I think it'll be fine. I think it will be fine for now. Okay, so that is number 1 done. She looks fab. Super happy with that. Okay, so the next thing that I am going to do is I'm going to consolidate 2 of my begonias that are not doing fantastically well. I don't know what it is. My begonias have just been, I love begonias, don't get me wrong. Like, I do think that they're super underrated and totally gorgeous. And I do have a couple that are doing really well, but they are just, they've been acting up for me. So they have not been growing the best. Most of them, I've lost some because of root rot, and maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I've tried like that IKEA Acrobar cabinet. I had originally gotten that for my begonias to give them like a little bit more humidity, and they hated it in there. I literally like had 4 that rotted when I put them in there, and when I took them out they started doing so much better. But I have a couple left that are just not doing the best, and they're getting on my nerves. And I'm sick of having these little pots with like one leaf in them each. Like, that just looks so dumb. So I'm going to, what is this? This is the Marmaduke. This is Begonia Marmaduke. And I had another like leaf cutting that I had put in here because the original plant rotted. And I had 2 propagations that survived. And I potted them up, and one started growing and putting out baby leaves, and just literally out of nowhere. I didn't change anything. It was growing well for probably 4 or 5 months. And then just all the baby leaves and the original propagation leaf just rotted out of nowhere. And that's the thing that irritates me about begonias, is I feel like they'll be doing fine for so long and growing and doing well. And then just out of nowhere, they'll just totally melt and rot, which is so aggravating. And I've even like kind of just mentally been like, maybe I should just get rid of this. But I think first what I'm going to try is to just stick them together and see if either of them survive. And if not, then this is Begonia Spirit of Chores. And I got this from the Green Escape ages ago, and it is just not doing great. It's literally it's put out 2 new leaves since I got it, and the leaves look pretty good, but they're just so tiny and it's just growing super slowly. So I'm pretty sure this is in that soil that was not the best. And this one's in decent soil, but it's just not happy. So I'm going to put these together just in one of these smaller pots and just see if anything will happen. I'm honestly like to the point where it's not that I don't care if they make it, but you know, sometimes you've just like really like had it with, and this won't come out of here. You really had it with a plant and you're like, you know what? If you want to be difficult, just be difficult. And I don't care anymore. And see, it's got what looks like some baby leaves growing out of the bottom of this, but they just look so, I don't even know if you can see that, like dinky and white. Like, they're just not, oh, my foot's falling asleep. They are just not doing anything. I can't even tell if these roots are good or not, honestly. Like, who knows? Who knows? Not gonna worry about it. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to get this other one out of here. Yeah, see, their roots are just not, there's like hardly anything in there. Like, that's the tiniest root system ever, and they've been growing in there for like 6 months, maybe more, honestly. I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the bigger of these 2 and we're gonna stick these guys in there. I probably need something bigger to put all this old soil in, but I will figure that out in a moment. And I'm just using the same mix of soil for everything today. It's like a little bit of the Miracle Grow tropical soil mix because my boyfriend's mom gave me some of that. So I wanted to go ahead and use that up. And then I've got some orchid bark in here, a lot of perlite, some of the coconut husk, like the powdery version. And I think that's it. Oh, and the coconut core, like the chunks too. I do have a few of those in there too. And I feel like that's a pretty decent mix, but begonias are so finicky. It's like you literally never know. They could just, you could give them, they could be growing in the worst soil ever, and then you could repot them in like their absolutely like best soil mix they could ever imagine, and they're still just like not happy with it because they're just finicky. They're like, they're mad about being repot, whatever. So who knows, maybe this will make me want to keep these guys if they actually start growing or doing something. But they are just like, I just feel like with plants, like if I've been trying really hard for a long time and like you're not willing to cooperate and put in a little bit of effort, then you gotta go. I'm sorry. I just don't have, I have too many plants to be like fussing with you when you don't want to cooperate. When I'm trying really hard to make you happy and you just don't want to, you just don't want to live. You don't want to grow. Okay. Whatever, that's gonna have to do. This looks so goofy right now. That is like the weirdest looking pot of plants ever. I feel like this has like a 30% survival rate. Like I feel like there's like a 70% chance that this is not going to make it. And if anything makes it, I feel like it's going to be this one, because that one looks better than this other one. And I've just had frequent issues with this Begonia Marmaduke, but I love the color. That's the thing, especially like the baby. This is an older kind of like gross leaf, but the new leaves when they come in are like so pretty. Oh yeah, I need to put some systemic granules in there. Okay. So that is done. So I've gotten rid of one pot of, I think next we're gonna tackle this propagation jar I have of my Syngonium Mojito. And I repot this other one not too long ago, so I'm just gonna put everything back into the same pot for now. And then in the future, when it starts like growing more, I'll upsize it, because this is a lot of cuttings to have in one pot. But Syngoniums, like especially this one for me, has just been super chill. Like it's not really had any issues with like being too root bound or whatever. Even when I was like underwatering it really severely, like it really didn't care that much. Okay, and then this one that I did the cuttings from already has what may be 2 growth points that activated. It's funny because this growth point, like, it looks like it's coming, like an old leaf was putting out a new leaf. Like, you know, once that leaf comes out, if it's an old one, you're not going to have new growth from that leaf. But it looks like it put out this leaf, but I think it's because the growth point activated and it just pushed out through that sheath. So we have this one. I think there's 1 growth point in there. And then that's the growth point that activated from where I chopped it right here. And then I had another offshoot that has a growth. So I already have 3 growth points in here. But I really like Syngoniums to be super bushy. And also, like, you never know if all of these cuttings are going to make it once you put them into soil from water. So it's nice to just have a little bit of lenience. So if some of them don't make it, it's not a big deal. And all of the roots on these look really good. So I'm literally, like, I'm not kidding. I'm just going to shove all of these in here. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, this one has been really been a trooper and like not had any issues with anything. So hopefully most of these will make it. I think they will. We'll see. We'll see. Look at how full and pretty that is. That is so exciting. I love like the variegation on this mojito. It has a nice kind of like balance of these leaves that are kind of, they're like less variegated, or there's a more subtle variegation. It's like really dark. And then there's some leaves that have really like a brighter variegation, especially the new leaves. I feel like those little new leaves are like super duper white. But yeah, so hopefully all of these will start vining and I'll have like a really bushy, beautiful vine going on there. God, that was an easy one. I want to do my other Syngonium too. Maybe we'll go ahead and do that one. My Syngonium Albo. This one is not quite as exciting. Like I was only able to get 2 cuttings from this one because it had not grown out very much since I got it. But that was because I was not giving it enough light. Like, I'm very aware that I was not giving it enough light. And I feel like I may still not be technically giving it enough light. But it's definitely more than there was originally. You know, I don't think I'm going to try to, like, totally pull this out. I think I can just kind of stick these 2 cuttings kind of, like, in the side here. So I'm just going to, like, clear out a hole in the dirt and stick them in there. Because its roots actually look pretty good. Like I see a couple of roots coming through the bottom of the pot too. But I don't think it needs to be upsized yet because it's a small plant. There's not a lot of root growth in there. So it'll be fun. Okay. And I don't have a lot of roots on these, but again, these are pretty resilient, and I'm just going to try it. I'm going to stick them in here, and hopefully it'll be okay and they will make it. So that one doesn't look much different. Honestly, there were only like 3 leaves that we added to that. But we're gonna hope, I mean, it does look better. It looks better than just having that one little tiny set of leaves, which, I mean, it's already putting out a growth point there at the top. So it's doing okay. That's a little bit better. So we are on, hopefully on the, oh my gosh, this one little cutting like does not want to stay down in there. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I've got my Syngonium chia pence, which I cut up in maybe like the last plant chores video that I did. And she's got roots coming out of the bottom, if you can see those. But I don't see like a lot of roots on the side of the pot, so I don't necessarily think that she's root bound. And she's activated 2 growth points, so I don't think that I'm going to upsize her. I just want to add, I have a couple of cuttings that I took from that have some roots. They had roots in the moss pole already, but they're starting to put out like a little offshoot roots. And I'm going to put the 2 variegated ones back in here. That's the second one with the roots. But I think I'm going to use the same method I just used with the Syngonium chia pence. I'm just going to like dig out a little bit of dirt here on the sides. Yeah, there's not like a lot of roots in here. I'm just going to dig out enough dirt to fit these cuttings in. And obviously, once these cuttings root more and they're taking up more space in the pot, I'll probably look at potting them then. I'm trying to see, it looks like there's a little bit of rot on the stem, which I'm just trying to cut out. I think it's okay though. But for right now, obviously, like, they have these little bitty tiny root systems, and the mother plant does not need a repot currently. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to stick them in the side of here. And I'm hoping that once these start growing, they'll have a little bit more variegation. The reason that I had to chop this was it put out like two or three green leaves in a row, which normally, like, it looks like it's reverting when it does that. So that was not a good sign. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and chop this right now before it reverts any further. And we are trying to preserve that variegation. And I don't know, this one's activated a growth point, but the other one hasn't. So I don't know if the other one's going to make it. If you can see right here, like coming out of the, right there, you can see that little growth point. The other one does not have like a node that it's activated yet, so I don't know for sure if that one's gonna make it. Like, I feel like it's less likely. I mean, not necessarily, but if it's already got a growth point, like, I can see where to bury it up to. And I do have one more cutting that I took, and it was the top cut that had reverted. So I may just, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot that one up by itself eventually. Right now, I left, like, the space up to the node, I left too much on the stem. So it wasn't in the water. So it's looking kind of like sad right now. So I'm going to cut that a little bit further, and we're going to see if it will start rooting. And if it does, then I'm just going to pot it up by itself, because I like the non-variegated version of the Syngonium chia pence too. So I wouldn't mind having a non-variegated version, but I just don't want like non-variegated leaves on my variegated Syngonium chia plants. Not enough to where it looks like it's like seriously reverting and we need to do something about it. Oh geez Louise. But yeah, so this one right here and that one right there, those are the ones that I stuck in there with this one. So she's looking a little fuller. And then she has her 2 growth points that she activated right here. So we've got 1 and 2 right there at the top. Gosh, I'm telling you, making these videos really just keeps me on track. I feel like I have gotten so much done. And then this is the, just ignore this leaf that looks terrible. But this is the top cutting that was not variegated. And you can see right there, like I left way too much stem on that. So the roots were not in the water enough. So I'm just going to chop that off. So we have the roots that we're going to get in the water. And I'm going to just stick this in with something else that I'm not potting up today, so I don't have a million cups of cuttings everywhere. Okay, next I've got my variegated domesticum. And this is one of the ones that I really like seriously chopped in that plant chores video. And it has also activated 2 growth points. So we've got this one right here, which is going to be the main one. And then this little bitty one right in here, if you can see that. And its first like real leaf that it's put out is not variegated at all, which does happen sometimes, especially after you do a chop and it activates a new growth point. Sometimes you just get those non-variegated leaves coming out. So I'm not going to worry about it yet. I am going to try to, let me move that over. I am going to, maybe this lid was not the best idea. I'm going to put, just like I did with the last one, the chia plants, I'm just going to dig out a little bit of space in the pot and put a couple of the cuttings that I took back in there, whichever ones are rooted the most. Because some of them are rooted, some of them are not. And I've got way too many in this cup. Like I had to put it in a mug because it was so top heavy, it just kept falling over. And we can see there's definitely some roots, some new roots growing in there. So let's see what we are working with here. Okay, that one does not have like the most roots, so we're probably not going to do that. This one's roots look really good. So that's a contender. And then we have this one, which sadly has really good variegation, but no roots. So that one is not going to make it. Oh, this one's roots look pretty good. It is a little moldy. I need to cut off the top of that, but the roots on that one look pretty good. So I think that one will be going in. We have my top cut that has no variegation and no roots, so that is not going to happen. And that one is the same. That one is the same. And then this one has okay roots, but there's like no variegation on that one, so I'm not really digging that one. And this one has really good variegation, but not the best roots. So then I'm going to put definitely these 2. And then if I have room, I may try to put that one in there too. Oh, this one has a growth point too. So if you can see this little right under my finger, that's a little growth point that has activated. This one too for me is like such a fast grower. I feel like other people that I watch their videos that have this plant have kind of like alluded to the same thing, that they've had, that theirs have been pretty fast growers as well. So I think this is one, again, this is the Philodendron domesticum variegated. But I feel like this is a really good one if you're looking to invest some money into a variegated philodendron, or, you know, you have a few on a wish list and you want one that grows really quickly. I think this is a really good one. And we will see how well it propagates. Like, it roots up. I feel like it's not been that long, maybe like a month since I took those cuttings. And it rooted up pretty well in the water, but I don't know like how those water roots are gonna translate to getting it back in soil. So we'll see. This will be an experiment in that. But my main vine was growing like crazy. Like I needed to cut it back anyways because I was just running out of space on the pole. Like I don't want a moss pole that's like 7 feet tall, you know. So after so long, I just want to go ahead and start cutting it back, taking some propagations, maybe making it a little bit bushier. And so I wanted to do that anyways, but also it was not totally reverting, but it was just like not putting out leaves that had very much variegation on them, which is sad. So I cut it back to the point on the stem where you can actually like see the stripes of variegation. I cut it back to the spot that had the most of that. So hopefully once that new growth point gets like a little bit more established and grows a little bit more, the leaves, like the variegation will come back because we have no variegation on that one. However, like my Florida Beauty did the same thing. Oh, you know what? That is another one that I need to take care of today too, because it did do the same thing when I like first got it. I have not been taking the best care of that plant, which is why it has just like not grown very much. But when I first got it, it had a really, like I bought it with a really good variegated leaf. But then the next one was not variegated at all. And it was like the first one that it put out for me since I had shipped it. Like I'd purchased it and had it shipped to me. And it was totally green. And then its next leaf went back to being variegated. So that one made me a little bit nervous, but it did go back to being variegated. And then I chopped it because I wanted to do the same thing, like put some cuttings back in the pot and make it a little bit fuller and have like some, like couple of different vines in there to have more leaves to look better. And it looks like it's reverting again because it just put out like its second totally green leaf. So I think I may want to chop that today too. I'm glad I remembered that I wanted to do that. Alrighty, so we have our main vine that has 2 growth points on it, and then I put this cutting in there and this one and this one. So we put 3 cuttings back in here. So hopefully most of those will take and we'll have, oh my gosh, I keep hitting the mic. Hopefully most of those will take and we will have several vines of that plant. And I do still have, like, the cutting that I took of that was ridiculous. I literally just like cut the top 2/3 of the plant off. And I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuttings of that freaking thing. And I guess what I'll do is I'm just going to let these root up a little bit longer, because some of these do not have like any roots on there. And then I don't know what I'll do with the rest of these. Maybe I'll make a second plant, or maybe I will sell some. I don't know. So now I've got all of these, and I need to change the water out because I've got dirt all in there. And I think I'm going to put that chia pants cutting in there too to conserve some space. And that one's done. Okay, so the next thing that I want to get accomplished is I have my Alocasia longiloba. She doesn't look great. Like, this leaf is pretty big. She doesn't look great because I had her in an area that does not get very much light, which is not fantastic for Alocasia. Like, they really like a lot of light. And I moved her recently on top of my Hoya shelves, and I have a grow light up there. And she finally is giving me a new leaf. Like, she has not given me a new leaf in probably 4 months. She's just had these 3 leaves, these 2 bigger ones, and then there's one tiny one down here. So she's finally growing again. And since she's happy up there, I had this other one that I grew from corms that I had taken from her when I first got her. And this one has been in my bathroom, so it's been growing much better. But it is shooting out corms everywhere. Like, it's going nuts. So I think I'm just going to take these corms off of here and stick them in a prop box. And I want to put these 2 babies back in with this one, because her roots have seemed okay the last couple of times that I checked them, because I was like, obviously she's not growing, so something weird is going on. But I think it was that she was not getting enough light, because her roots have been fine. And this one is getting a little bit root bound. Like, you can see it's shooting out a bunch of roots through the bottom of the pot there. So I'm going to stick those 2 together. And I may put it in a 1-gallon pot. I need to buy some more pots. We'll see. I'm going to see how her roots are in here first, because if she doesn't have a lot of roots, I don't really need to upsize that pot. So we are going to check yet again to make sure that her roots are okay. Yeah. I mean, she's not like super root bound. Oh, that one did have root rot. Okay, well, I guess since the last time that I checked on this one, it did have root rot, because it's rotted all the way back to the corm, and it has 2 little healthy roots, and it's growing another one. So I'm just going to put this back in here because it's growing its roots back. So I think that'll be fine. And then the other one is doing just fine. There are plenty of roots on that. So I will just be putting all of these in the same pot for now. And then in the future, if all of these survive, I will probably up-pot it at that point. So first of all, I'm just going to break off all these little corms or cormals. Sorry if it's kind of bright. You can't really see that. It's like so bright outside today. The sky is just crazy. Oh yeah, these are just falling right off. Like, they are ready to be harvested. Okay, and I've got like, I don't know, some of these look really small. I don't know if all of these are going to take, but there's like 6 of these. And there may be more corms in here also. I don't really know. She's definitely ready for a bigger pot. So if nothing else, I feel like, yeah, oh my God, this one is like so rebound. Look at those roots. And she's definitely got corms. So I'm going to take those out because I don't necessarily want any more baby plants in here, because I think she's going to be a maximum capacity after I put all of these plants together. I don't think the other one had any corms. No. No, it didn't. Okay. That is good. Let me see if we've got any more corms in here. Oh my gosh. My legs and that area hurt so bad. We went to the gym yesterday, and I just feel like I've been kind of like meh about the gym recently. Probably because, like, once school is back in session, like the fall semester has started, and especially now, like editing YouTube videos and stuff like that, like I'm just like exhausted by the end of the day. But sometimes, like yesterday, I was just like really in the mood to kill it, to like really do a really intense workout. So I did a leg workout, and I'm really feeling it today. It's like the really good, like the good kind of sore where you're like, yeah, I needed that workout. I did good. Okay, so her roots, fabulous. We have like all of these little, oh dear, corms, and I have like 3 big corms and then a few of those little, I think they're called like cormels when they come out of the top, and they're corms when they're in the soil. I don't know. I looked this up at one point, but I can't remember. I have short-term memory loss, so I cannot remember what it said. But I don't know if those little tiny ones are going to grow quite as well. I guess we'll see. I'm going to put them all in a prop box and just kind of see what happens. Okay, how am I going to arrange these? Because I have that one really big leaf. I'm just going to put these in the front. It is going to be a little wonky to begin with, but they will orient themselves eventually towards the light. I don't know how this leaf has survived this long with like no roots. But I swear I like literally just checked it. I checked it probably last month and the roots were fine because I was like, it literally had not grown for, it has to be at least 4 or 5 months. And the first thing I always think is like, if it doesn't have pests, it's probably a root issue. Like maybe I was overwatering it or something. But I checked the roots and they were fine. And then now, 1 month later, all the roots are gone. But what can you do? I'm very surprised that this giant leaf has like not rotted off with 0 roots. That doesn't make any sense. Alright, so we've got everybody in there together, one big happy family. And I don't know how this is going to go because I feel like this big old leaf may block out the light for the other ones, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I definitely do not need 20 pots of this plant, especially since we've just harvested all these little corms, which will likely be several new baby plants. So yeah, I think that is good for now. And she's going to go back up under that grow light and hopefully repotting this will not have harmed that leaf, that new leaf in any way. We will see. Okay, so I've got these 2 little pots of ivy. And if you've watched, I know I've talked about this before at some point. If you've watched any of those videos, you know that like I've talked about how difficult ivy is to grow indoors and like how much I've struggled trying to get it to survive in my home environment versus like outdoors, like growing through the concrete and the freaking ground. Like it doesn't care, but indoors for some reason, like it will not grow. And I had 1 cutting left from this ivy that I was absolutely in love with because the variegation is so pretty. And I was absolutely sure that it was going to die, but somehow it put out roots. And I potted it up and I put it in my bathroom window and it's been growing, which is very surprising. But I don't have a lot of confidence that it will make it. Like I'm still just like really skeptical. And then I have this other ivy. This is a different type of ivy, kind of the same story with this one. So this was the only ivy that I had indoors that was like doing okay. And because I'm just like not very confident that these will live forever, I'm just going to pot them together. Again, the theme of today's video is consolidation. Because I really, oh man, it's like when you have a lot of plants, it's like you always want to downsize your collection. But I'll be like, okay, let's downsize. And I'll go and I'll like look around and I'll be like, I want to keep every single one of these plants. So what else can you do but consolidate things to less pots? So that's what we're going to work on today, and then maybe in the future I'll decide to get rid of some of these plants that I'm not enjoying anymore. But as of right now, I just can't do that. I can't do it. So let's see. I think probably I'm just gonna put it in. I feel like this pot is bigger. Yeah, like I can't really tell if these roots are good or not. Like they're not mushy or like coming off or anything, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of confidence in these. Okay, so we are just going to shove both of these in here together. That's it. That was an easy one. Just mush both of them into one pot. So we'll see if these make it. I'm going to stick them in the same spot in my like bathroom window. Oh dear. Because they seemed pretty happy in there. I mean, they were surviving in there. So I'm just going to stick them back and see if, especially after repotting them together, if they are going to survive. Okay, this is a big one that I wanted to get taken care of today because I have all these pothos cuttings everywhere. I feel like I'm always like up to my eyeballs in pothos cuttings. So I had this one that I was trying to get to grow up a trellis. And this is half marble queen and it's like beautifully variegated. Like I've heard this referred to as the snow queen because it's like that really, lots of the really pale variegation. However, it is a marble queen. It's just like I guess a variant of the marble queen. And then I have a Manjula pothos in here too. Pothos, I'm sorry. It is a habit to call them pothos. And I feel like this one's dead, so I'm probably going to cut that one off. But I mean, most of it's looking pretty good now, but it had root rot, so it was just like totally rotten. I took a bunch of cuttings, which I put in here, and these are all doing really good. Because I thought this one was going to totally die. And of course, like, pothos root out really fast, so those are definitely ready to be potted up. So I'm going to do the same thing and just try to consolidate everything together in this pot. And I want to stick, I have this like one little, like what's left of the cuttings that I had of these two that rotted, which is a global green and an enjoy maybe, or a pearls and jade. It doesn't have the dots. I can't remember which is which. But I just want everything together because I'm sick of having 7 million pots of pothos everywhere. Because I mean, like, they propagate really easy, but jeez, I feel like everyone does that. Like, do we all just have 7 million pots of pothos everywhere? Yeah, this one's roots are like totally rotted out. So I'm just going to pull these off and we're going to freshen up that soil a little bit. Probably. Do I even have orchid bark in here? Probably not. That's not good. That is not good. Okay, so I'm just going to mix some of the old soil, which I put in there not too long ago, with some of the new soil that has like some more perlite and orchid bark in there to hopefully combat some of that rot, because that does not look good. Oh my gosh, those roots are crazy. I have not had these in there for that long, and I'm not being like precise about this. I'm literally just sticking this entire thing in here. Whoever lives, lives, and whoever doesn't, oh well, do not have the patience to deal with y'all. Okay, so I have successfully combined all of that pothos nonsense into this one pot. So I've got my original one over here that had root rot, which is like in this area. And these are all of my crazy cuttings. And then we've got our little enjoy pearls and jade, whatever that is, in the back here. So I feel much better about consolidating that down to one pot. And now just like, I'll just trim off whatever happens in here, like whatever doesn't make it. And that makes things a lot easier for me. All right, y'all, so I think that is going to be it for this video. I think that I'm just going to wait and do that Florida Beauty next time. Maybe I might let her put out one more leaf and see if it's variegated or not. And if it's not, then I'm going to chop it. And that is that, because I obviously would like for her to be variegated because she's a Florida Beauty and she's supposed to have variegation. All I've got left to do with this stuff is to put those little corms in a propagation box, and then I'm going to water everybody in and clean up my mess, and that is going to be it. I do have a fun video coming up, hopefully soon. It will be an unboxing. I've not done an unboxing in a hot minute, so that will be fun. I will say it is a variegated anthurium, so if you want to tune in for that, hopefully it will be here either at the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So that should be a video that is going to be coming pretty soon. But I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in and checking out this video. If you like, oh my God, there is a baby bird that is it just hopped up right in the window. Oh my gosh, it looks so crazy. It's like half bald. Poor thing. Anyways, if you like this video and you want to see more content like this from me, please like, please subscribe. It means so much to me and it helps my channel so much. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.